welcome to the 2019 Drift Masters Championship. We're here at our season opener at Greinbach, Austria. We've got 2 fantastic days of action for you guys. I'm going to be jumping in the car with the Red Bull Drift Brothers and teaching you all there is to know about drifting. I'm down here on the start line of the beautiful Greinbach track in Austria, and I've got our very own king of the commentary box, David Egan.
Well, what a season we have ahead of ourselves, Becky. 45 drivers, 20 nations in Europe represented, and 20 national champions, all trying to do one thing: be the very best in the continent. It is going to be full of action, and I, for one, can't wait to kick it off.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of gauntlets thrown down this season. For those of you watching at home that have seen drifting for years, here's a little refresher course. But for those just joining us, here's a little bit more about the world of drifting.
Drift Masters European Championship events are split into 2 important parts: qualifying and twin battles. In qualifying, each driver will make 2 non-consecutive passes of the designated course, with the highest score from both runs deciding their grid position for the top 32 battles later in the competition. Judges give each driver a score out of 100 after their run. Sounds simple, but drift layouts are anything but. Our judges will explain the layout specific to this event, but there are some key phrases you will need to learn. At the start of each run, each driver must start drifting before the start of the scoring zone. This is called the initiation point. Drivers must then maintain the drift through a number of clipping points or zones around the course. Clipping points or zones are indicated by white boxes painted on the ground or traffic cones. Clipping points are either front or rear, depending on which part of the car the judges want to see through that particular zone. Some courses will have clipping points placed on concrete walls or metal barriers, where drivers must graze their rear bumper along the wall without making heavy contact. Transitions occur when a driver changes the direction of the drift without straightening up in the middle. This should be done as fast and as fluid as possible to score maximum points. While drivers in Drift Masters have unrivaled skill levels, there are some pitfalls they must avoid. Putting 4 wheels off the track or spinning out will score a 0, while straightening up, understeering, or not hitting those all-important clipping points will trigger big deductions. Once qualifying is done, the top 32 will head to the main event and the top 32 twin battles. And this is where the action really heats up. In twin battles, each driver pairing will take turn at lead and chase, before the judges vote on who should progress to the next stage of competition. The lead driver must follow the qualifying line, while the chase driver must use the lead driver as a moving clipping zone, getting close enough to impress the judges while not making significant contact. It's really risk-reward, and like no other motorsport on earth. The top 32 tournament leads to the top 16, top 8, and so on, until we are left with one definitive winner. 3 drivers make the podium, while the rest have to lick their wounds and return to fight another day. That is competitive drifting in a nutshell. But we are aware it's not as straightforward as every other form of motorsport. But don't worry, our expert commentary team will keep you up to speed as the competition progresses. For now, sit back, strap in, and get ready for the Drift Masters European Championship.
I mean, that's everything you need to know, basically.
Well, it's not as straightforward as a lot of other motorsports out there, but we're going to get you up to speed with videos like that right throughout the season. It is an intense sport. One mistake knocks you out of competition, unlike many other motorsports, and every driver on that grid has got to be on it from the off. It takes nerves of steel and a lot of talent.
Dave, who should we be looking out for?
Well, all 45 really, because they're all national champions. But if we're going to start, you're going to start with last year's champion, James Deane. He's back in a new machine for this year, and there's going to be some teething problems at the start, but he is one of those drivers that's won everywhere he's gone. His heels will be bitten, though, by many drivers, including Arne Kvia from Norway. He was a big star last year. Both the Shanahan brothers will definitely be in the mix. Adam Zalewski, the wonder kid from Poland, also one to watch out for in a brand new car. And Duane McKeever and a couple of other drivers are coming in for their first ever European Championship, so they'll be definitely looking to make a name for themselves with nothing to lose. It's anyone's game, really.
The season comprises 6 rounds, starting with the first stop here at Greinbach, Austria. Round 2, which takes it to Kvia and Arne in France. In round 3, we've got Plots, Poland. And then we head to the King of Riga, and that's in Latvia. August 17th is the King of Iron, Veropolis, Germany, with round 6 ending up in Mondello Park, Ireland. The track here in Greinbach, Austria is a pretty tricky one, but we've got Dave here to give you a closer walkthrough.
You'll see here the lead car will start on the right-hand side. He's going to go through a chicane to slow him, to allow the chase car to get really close on initiation. Initiation's so important. If you lose the lead car here, it's game over for that run because there is nowhere else to catch him. And then don't overshoot it. As you can see, you get so close. There's a little decel as they come up over a crest. And then this is a part where we've seen some contact in top 32. This is where you really got to control your aggression in the chase position. At this point, this is where the track gets nice and slow, where the cars are expected to dive up onto the rear door or the rear quarter and to the door. And then it's one last pull to the finish. Don't lose the car here. Stay with that lead car. Get those proximity points. And if you can, you'll get a really good, favorable decision from the judges.
As you can see, a very challenging track there, Dave. It's not going to be easy out there for those drivers.
Certainly not. And I mean, it's so technical. There's different elevation changes that are so hard for the drivers to negotiate. One mistake is going to mean you're out of competition. And these guys at this level, they are good, but they can still make mistakes.
That's enough of the chat. Let's get into the top 32 action.
After 8 months of anticipation, the Drift Masters European Championship began with a hot and heavy top 32. Jack Shanahan would beat UK driver Paul Smith after Smith dropped 2 wheels off the circuit. Duane McKeever was too hot to handle for the French driver Axel Francois. The speed of the Irish driver on his European debut was the key factor. Max Heydrich almost made major contact with the wall but dropped wheels off the circuit and recorded an incomplete run. Kailin Siratan in the chase position couldn't take advantage, straightening to record his own incomplete run. After one more time, Siratan progressed. Polish champion David Karkasik was hit by the Austrian Alwar Pampa, and Karkasik took the win. One of the heavyweights of the Drift Masters European Championship, Andreas Vasilauskas, went too hard on his 2 runs with the Red Bull Drift brother Elias Hountondji. Hountondji stayed neat and tidy, progressing to the top 16. Benjamin Bulls made a big error, getting trapped on the inside of the hairpin against Pavel Korpolinski. The judges didn't like it and the French driver was out of the competition. Norwegian Tour Arne Kvia was on a charge, with his speed leaving Mikkel Overgaard for dust. Big upsets next as the UK driver Martin Richards defeated championship favourite Gregors Hipkit. Hipkit had no answer for Richards' speed as he chased him throughout the course. Switch them around and Richards brings tons of aggression while Hipkit drops wheels and seals his own fate. James Deane, the current Drift Masters champion, was back on a new chassis for 2019. New chassis, but same mission. Deane would put in 2 near-perfect runs, while Michael Rijkaard from the Czech Republic was making big errors. He would have to bail out on his lead run to avoid any further impact with the barriers. Next up, a really close encounter between Irish debutant Kevin Quinn and Dutch driver Sebastian Fontschi. This was a tight one that the judges had a lot of deliberation over, but Fontschi would get the call after a split decision. The last battle of the top 32 saw Austrian Franz Kunzig go head-to-head with Czech Republic driver Marko Zakaril. In his impressive BMW M2, Zakaril would claim victory here. That heated top 32 round now leads to the top 16 main event.
That's all the action from the top 32. as we were saying, it's a tricky track out there. So I got in a car with one of the Red Bull Drift brothers to see for myself.
It's Becky. What's up?
Guys, I have been talking about drifting all weekend.
Yeah, I heard.
So I wanted a chance to get out on the track and actually see what it's like to drive it. I'm going to head out with the brothers and see what they're made of.
Let's do this.
Let's go. Let's go.
Well, that looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing watching it, but getting out in a car, you get a much better sense of what these drivers are going through. Well, the top 16, what is happening?
We have a stacked top 16 ready to go. The best in the business are here. James Deane is looking strong. Adam Zalewski's looking strong. Both the Red Bull Drift brothers, Ellie and Joe, looking strong. Jack Shanahan goes up against Duane McKeever in an all-Irish battle to kick us off. It's anyone's game from here. You've got to pick drivers like Arne, Kvia and Benediktas Cirba for getting close to the podium at some point. I cannot wait to kick this off.
It's going to be a busy 16, but enough of the chat. Let's get straight into the action.
Into the top 16 we go, and there would be no easy route to the finals with a host of national champions left on the board. Drift Masters is the only championship where you can see the likes of Deane, Rintanen, Cirba, Shanahan, Zalewski, Hountondji and the Hountondji brothers all on one circuit together. The first battle of the top 16 saw age-old rivals from Ireland, Jack Shanahan and Duane McKeever, go head-to-head. Shanahan would go off the track, handing the win to Duane McKeever. Polish driver would go up against Lithuanian Benediktas Cirba. Over two incredible runs, it would be Benediktas Cirba moving through to the top 8. Romanian driver Kailin Siratan and Finnish driver Juha Rintanen would meet up one more time to decide their top 16 battle. It was the speed of Juha Rintanen that won in the end. Elias Hountondji from Germany would go up against the Polish driver Paweł Korpelinski. The consistency of Hountondji would win in the end, and he was getting a spot in the Great 8. Two drivers who'd been on fire all weekend, Arne, Kvia and Martin Richards, would line up next. While Martin Richards did everything he could, it was Kvia who would continue his charge into the top 8. Our current champion James Deane would go head-to-head with Sebastian Hountondji in the top 16. With an even playing field, Hountondji saw his chance to take down last year's champion. But it wasn't to be, as Deane put in two perfect runs and once again advanced in the competition. The other Red Bull Drift brother, Joe Hountondji, would go head-to-head with the BMW M2 of Marco Zaccaril. Zaccaril had been on form all weekend and once again advanced to the top 8. Local wildcard Daniel Brandner had the crowd behind him as he tackled Adam Zalewski. However, it was Zalewski's experience and pace that shone through as he proceeded into the final 8.
We're getting to the business end of the day now. These drivers can smell that podium finish. What are the battles to look for, Dave?
For me, two of the standout battles right now are the youngster from Poland, Adam Zalewski, going up against the Norwegian sledgehammer, Arne Kvia. And on the other side of the bracket were the Red Bull Drift brothers, Ellie Hountondji, going head-to-head with Benediktas Cirba. The fight is definitely on.
From 45 drivers from 20 nations, we are down to just 8. The Great 8. The two fastest men on the track, Duane McKeever and Finnish driver Juha Rintanen, would send the crowd wild with an incredible battle in the top 8. However, over the 2 runs, McKeever was proving the strongest, and he would move into his first ever European semi-final. The pride of Lithuania, Benediktas Cirba, would go head-to-head with Red Bull Drift brother Zalewski and Hountondji in another heavyweight encounter. Over 2 runs though, it was Benediktas Cirba getting the vote from the judges and moving into the semi-final. Anticipation was building as 2 of the most exciting stars on the track, Arne Kvia and Zalewski, would go head-to-head next. After 2 incredible runs, Zalewski, in a brand new car for this weekend, would earn his spot in the semi-final. Marco Zaccaria would miss a gear on his first run against reigning champion James Deane, and over the 2 runs that would prove decisive enough to allow Deane, the 2018 champion, to progress to the top 4. Juha Rintanen. He was up against a man that was unknown to him and a newcomer to the championship. Duane McKeever was out for blood in the top 4. On the other side of the bracket, it was the 2017 champion Zalewski going up against the 2018 champion James Deane. Both drivers knew each other well, so we were expecting fireworks. It was a heated battle between Cirba and McKeever, with both drivers laying it on thick from the start. McKeever would take first blood with a great chase, both drivers staying well in touch and driving a great run for the spectators. Then came the second run, the judges not being able to decide who was going through to the final, so they called one more time. Eventually the sun shone on McKeever and he would advance to the final. Let's join our commentators and relive this epic battle for the podium.
Well, here you have it. Benediktas Cirba. He goes up against Irishman Duane McKeever. James Deane versus Zalewski. We watched that battle twice or 3 times last year, and Zalewski will definitely want to beat James Deane here. 2 brand new cars, but 2 very, very capable drivers that think they are the best in the business. Zalewski wants Deane. He wants to beat him. He wants to be the best, and he is in any way, shape, or form not afraid of the current US and European champion. This is exactly what Zalewski built this new car for, to come out here and beat Deane. He's got one chance at it. He starts in the chase position. He's got to glue it to him, and I think Zalewski's got the pace for Deane here, and he is, look at that focus from the Polish youngster. He is not letting Deane away. Look at this!
Wow, look at Zalewski onto the side of the brand new BMW of James Deane. Shallows out the angle ever so slightly to keep that pace, but now makes another dive, and look at the pace. Oh, what a big error from Zalewski.
Touched the inside curb, hopped the car, and now he's got to get back into it. We've watched so many drivers, including McKeever, make an error there. Hop the front end of the car, lose control of the back end, and he's back on Deane's door, though. He still has the fight, Zalewski. He still believes he can win this if he can stay with the Irishman through the last couple of sections, and he can, throwing everything at the current champion is Zalewski, but a big error may have cost him a lot. And look at this, he's thumbs up again. He knows he's got an error. He's got to be fast here, Zalewski. He's got to do something special. He's got to throw it into that first corner like he hasn't thrown it in. He's got to go in miles an hour faster than he has all weekend. And Zalewski firing through the gears. Look at Deane trying to stay with him here.
He's going to stay with him, David, on the back bumper, and a little GT86 now as they fire into the first turn. And a little bit of separation and a wobble from Zalewski as they come into the outer zone, but Deane very shallow. And it looks like Deane hasn't got the pace as Deane then makes the mistake now. Zalewski stays in it, and James Deane sacrificing the line to gain some proximity. This is not like the James Deane we learned to know. As Zalewski makes his way through the centre of the circuit, Deane makes a dive, but Zalewski puts foot to floor and starts to drive away from the 2018 Drift Masters champion. And Zalewski drives clear over the line and leaves James Deane standing.
Well, that is a tale of what might have been. Without those 2 errors from Zalewski, he had the car to outpace James Deane there. Like, I don't think James had an answer for that. Let's see what happens. James Deane gets 1 vote, and James Deane does get the 2nd vote, and James Deane goes to the final. James Deane is a 5-time Irish champion, and the question always gets brought up, who is the best driver from Ireland? And James Deane has done it all. 2 times in the US, 2-time Formula Drift champion. Duane McKeever's never had that opportunity. And last year when Duane McKeever came off the podium, and everyone said, yes, you're the best in Ireland, but James Deane isn't here. Well, he's got his bag in his baggage. He's built a new car. He's followed James Deane to Europe. And he looks across at the man that has beaten him 5 times, had 5 different years in his career. And if he takes him down here today, the argument is well open between who is the best Irish driver. You may not know Duane McKeever the way you know James Deane, but he hasn't had the journey yet that James Deane has had. What a moment for Duane McKeever. And James Deane's looking across going, not this guy, because he knows Duane McKeever is coming for it. It is the machine versus the Northern Smoke machine in the final of round 1 of the Austrian Drift Masters round. And look at McKeever. He's coming for it with Deane. And he fires it out the door. McKeever with an absolute kamikaze entry on James Deane as he pins it to the door of the Falcon Tires E92. Not backing down. You can't even see McKeever.
Oh, wow.
He's at 90 degrees in the chase position.
He's almost backwards, Dave, as they come into the front of him right now. McKeever is holding on to everything he has as he throws everything that he has got to his use at getting a win over James Deane. Now he puts foot to floor one more time, and McKeever sets himself right onto the back end of that BMW and across the line.
Well, that's it all. That's everything Duane McKeever had in his tank, and look at what it means to the Austrian fans as they absolutely go bananas. That was the closest anybody's come to anybody at over 80 miles an hour into that first corner. Look at the speed.
Just look at this, Dave. The dive. It gets on all 4 brakes again, locks that car up, and then this. Ready? Have this big angle, boom, tags onto the back end of that car, doesn't lose any ground, just drops the clipping point, then finds the side once again.
McKeever gave it on. Now it's on Deane's shoulders. If he is that damn good, he has to do the same. He has to risk everything here. And the worry is, has McKeever got more pace than him? That's what James Deane's worrying now. He got the pace? He's, saying about the lag. Here we go. It's the last run of the day. Deane right with McKeever on the inside. He now fires on the inside, but McKeever starts to pull the gap.
He certainly does, David. Look at this as he fires in. But somewhere, out of nowhere, James Deane has found the pace, and he starts to put it on the side of that Drift Games 180 as they come into the hairpin. James Deane is all over the side of Duane McKeever, almost contact on the transition.
Wow, McKeever cannot shake the machine. James Deane, look at that transition from James Deane. He's fighting with everything he has into that last corner. What a final! And Ireland represented at the highest level by 2 of the most talented young men in the business. What a finale to this event.
What an absolutely incredible way to start and end the first round of Drift Masters 2019. Look at Duane McKeever, he's flying, but James Deane had no pace just 10 minutes ago, and he brings it in, and he turns it up to 100, and he absolutely comes flying onto the side of Duane McKeever's car. Deane is back in the game after a tough weekend.
Who's going to take it? We're about to find out.
We come all the way to Austria and we end up in an all-Irish final. James Deane, you were saying to me that, the car's new, all the rest of it, and yet you find yourself here on the start line.
I would call that definitely Irish luck. We had some really close battles, really close with Duane and Adam. I think that's where my luck was to go through with him because he was so fast, and only for some small mistakes he would have definitely taken it. But for the first event, super happy with the new car. Lots of adjustments to make, but overall so happy to be in the finals.
Fantastic. And Duane, I could see it in your face. You were sweating. You were just so anxious to get out there. And you say you've never won against James Deane before.
No, and honestly don't know. It's all up in there at the minute. Nobody knows at the minute. Fathers can't give me anything, so I still don't know.
But how are you feeling? It's been a great weekend for you.
Oh, completely over the moon. Never actually thought like we had awful car gremlins this time last week, and nothing was going right. And I thought even whenever we got here that nothing was going to go right for me, but car hasn't missed a beat all weekend. And just you can't even express how happy I am at the minute.
Well, Duane, considering that you think things didn't go too well for you this weekend, I can actually let you know that you are the winner this weekend. Congratulations! Go on, Duane.
unbelievable stuff from all of those four. At one point, we didn't know who was going to win it. Zalewski looks like he'd outpaced Deane, but Deane came right back with that experience and eliminated the Polish youngster. After that, Benediktas Cirba looked like he was going to take down Duane McKeever after some mistakes, but McKeever came back on it one more time and took it to his first European final. And then it was an 8-year story rounded off with Duane McKeever looking up at his idol, both figuratively and physically, before they headed into the cars. And against all odds, Duane McKeever takes down the world champion. What a finish.
We'll be heading to Crow in France. Make sure you keep up with all the action and join us there.